Hello Highlanders, this is Mayor Rod Mann with a preview of the council meeting agenda for Tuesday, June 16th, 2020. This will be an interesting meeting. The first item on the agenda is the citizen survey report by Aaron Wells, our Assistant City Administrator. I always enjoy these. This is the survey that we took back in February, March, and April, or actually March and April of this year. And I think I'm always interested in the results. All right, next item is the Highland Fling for 2020. Corinne Presswich, our events manager, is going to go through what we're thinking about for Highland Fling this year. Obviously, it's going to be reduced significantly due to the COVID restrictions, but she'll apprise us of what we're planning. Next are the consent items on the agenda. There are 4 of them. Approval of meeting minutes from our May 19th meeting, approval of an ordinance that the council worked through our last meeting, and our city attorney said he'd draft up an ordinance reflecting our motion. That was, like I said, discussed length over a long period of time during the meeting, and it will allow for much larger accessory buildings on lots larger than 2 acres. The next item is a final plat approval. This is an administrative action. This is something that's come before the council a number of times, and it's just looking at 265 lots on the property south of the high school. This will be the first phase of the development that will, when it's done, have almost 600 homes. And the last item on the consent agenda is a resolution to approve an expansion of the restricted firework zone recommended by the police chief, or by the fire chief, excuse me. These include adding Pheasant Hollow to the restrictions. The Hidden Oak subdivision has been under restrictions for the last few years. This to me is just a logical extension of that. On to the action items for the meeting. The first 2 are dealing with a resident who lives in West Highland and owns property in the county adjacent to his property. He wants to move about 500 square feet from the county, from his property in the county, and add that to his lot, which will give him the space he needs to build an accessory building. Next item is final amendments to the 2019-2020 fiscal budget year. We did have a number of additional expenses that were unanticipated, including a boiler repair in the city building and the police building. Both of them failed, or one failed and one was close to failure, so we fixed them both. That was not budgeted. We're making some other adjustments. These are not in things that are new. These are things that we've talked about. Shouldn't be an issue. Next item is approval of an interfund transfer from the PI fund to the general fund in the 2020-2021 budget. We need to do this as a separate public hearing resolution whenever you do an interfund transfer. That's required. What it does is it moves that money from the PI fund into the general fund and gives us an idea of what it is costing us to water the parks. If we just watered the parks and didn't bill the city for that, which is what this money is used to cover, we wouldn't really understand how much money we're spending on watering the parks. So this is a way to increase transparency. Our next item after that is the 21 fee schedule approval. These fees include anything from impact fees to the fees it costs to rent pavilions or soccer fields, to our water, sewer, and other fees. There are no changes, no significant changes anyway to that. We are doing an impact fee study, and when that's done, we will come in with a motion to amend the fee schedule to adopt whatever the recommendations are based on the impact fee study being looked at. Typically that means the fees will come down occasionally. Those impact fees get increased, but the last couple times we've done it, we've adjusted it, and the net impact was that the impact fees were reduced. We don't know what the outcome of this study will be yet. All right, then it's adopting the certified tax rate for fiscal year 2021. Money you pay to the city in property tax won't go down. It'll be the same. But when the property values go up, the rate goes down. Now, there are minor adjustments, which means some people might pay a little bit more, others maybe a little bit less, but the net effect is that the average money we collect from a home shouldn't change. All right, then after that, we'll adopt the Highland City budget for 2020-2021. We've kept the budget relatively flat year over year because we anticipate getting less money from sales tax due to COVID. One of the ways we're doing that is we are not budgeting for raises for employees this year, so we're holding on raises. We'll look at income that we get from sales tax, and if things change, we'll put those back in place. They'll probably be reduced from what we would normally do. But we are legally obligated to adopt a budget by the end of June, and so this is our last meeting in June, and we will be adopting a budget. Just bear in mind that that will get reviewed a few times during the year, and if additional money comes in, we'll have room to do a few other projects and room to give our employees a raise. All right. The second to last item is approval of an interlocal agreement with Utah County regarding the use of CARES Act funds. For those of you that don't know, the county a couple of months ago got $111 million from the federal government to help mitigate the cost of the COVID response, so to pay for things like additional PPE, building changes that needed to be made to make it safer to interact with the public, any public safety costs, additional personnel, or different ways of utilizing them. It's a lot of money. We worked out an agreement with the county to get the cities 40% of that money to be allocated to the cities. Our share of that will be $1.36 million roughly. We'll need to use it or lose it by the end of the year, but we can only use it for a limited set of items that are, if you can tie it to a COVID-related response. Last item is a budget item for allocating money to improve the Wild Rose Park. Developers developing adjacent to the park, and he agreed to kick in $63,000 to our park fund, and in exchange for being able to do a small change to his development. The City Council needs to decide how much of that money will be allocated to improving the Wild Rose Park. I'm not sure where that's going to land. But I am sure it will be less than the full amount that he's giving us, but I just don't know what that will be. That's the end of the meeting. Thank you for listening. Hope this is useful. We will see you tonight if you come, or later in the year while we're out and about in the city. Thank you. Have a great week. Bye.